lot of them did it on their own without having to call. Numerous agencies from across the state of Tennessee and as well as outside Tennessee. And we couldn't have done it without their support. Couldn't have done it without the support of our community. Was glad to see that support, and not only for law enforcement, but for each other, looking after each other. We're a small community, and just looking after your neighbor, letting them know, letting us know, is a huge help. So we're excited to have Mr. Brown in custody and go through the prosecution. I'll turn it over to Sheriff Sugg.
It's like Marcus said, we're mighty appreciative of everything that our town done for our visiting agencies. We live in a good community, good Christian-based community. I can't say enough about our citizens coming forth and helping these different agencies and agents that come and spent the time to help us. And Ms. Susan, thank you. And TBI, you see they're still here with us. As the chief said, local law enforcement was heavily involved in this. They was there when the arrest was made. They was the point of the spear when it was done, supported by the FBI. The chief and I are very proud of our people, and started out bad, but sure got a good resolution out of it. And we kept our word. He was arrested in this town, and he is in jail in Houston County. And we're mighty appreciative of everybody's support and help.
Thank you, gentlemen. Again, we'll have an opportunity for you to ask them specific questions. I wanted to address a blue alert. We don't have those very often. Since TBI started issuing these back in 2011, we have had less than half a dozen. It's very ironic, I guess, that we had two of them that happened on the same day in different parts of Middle Tennessee, and both, as you know, had very different outcomes. We do have a list of criteria that we use for consideration on whether to use a blue alert. We do have those on our website, and it's available for anybody who wants to get more information on that. And there is a Tennessee code that we refer to make sure that we stay in line with that as well. Like I said, it's very rare for us to issue a blue alert at all. When we issue a blue alert, the TBI Fusion Center pushes it out to law enforcement agencies, and they use their public information office, of which I'm part, to push it out to local media. And you media folks are great at about as soon as we hit send, you all are pushing it out to make your viewers aware of what's going on and provide information along the way. And for that, we're very grateful. That's part of what the alerts are for, is to be able to push this information, the critical information, to the public. In the two cases that we've had, they involved individuals who had exhibited some violent behavior in which law enforcement officers were very seriously injured. The one was captured, and one, as I believe you know, the other one, the individual is deceased. So the purpose of us pushing those out is to make people aware in the communities that there is this danger that exists, because it's in the example of the one here in Houston County, the individual stayed pretty close in the same area. In the example of the one that happened earlier on the other side of Middle Tennessee, he ended up going across a whole nother state. So oftentimes we don't know where they are. The statewide alert is to make everybody aware of those, just because you need to know if there is a dangerous individual who could be in your neighborhood. We understand that not everybody is going to be interested in the alerts that we put out, but we figured for the part of public safety, it's something that we need to do to make people aware of the potential danger in their neighborhood. When we push our alert out, it also goes out through secondary providers. Probably the most visible ones you're aware of are the signs that go over the interstates, and then the cell phone alerts. So the cell phone alerts are pushed out with one of our secondary provider partners. We only pushed out one alert for each of these two blue alerts. We understand that people got multiple calls, and some people got none. And we can certainly empathize. Nobody wants to be awakened in the middle of the night. Nobody even wants to have it in the middle of the workday blaring, which is why we try to only use these in the most extreme of circumstances. So the TBI blue alerts that were pushed this week, there was only one for each individual case. We understand from our secondary providers that there are different aspects that could affect whether you get a phone alert, and if you do, how often. Some of these are who your provider is. Something as simple as, have you turned your phone off and on? Was it in airport mode and turned off? Or have you traveled from one tower to another? There are many variables that can go into whether you get these alerts. We certainly apologize for anybody who was awakened or annoyed. We get that, and we are looking into it. As soon as we had we were made aware yesterday that people were getting multiple alerts, and we've been in touch with our folks, our agents, to try to track down why this happened and what can be done about it. We think it's very important to be able to provide these alerts, so we don't want people to have to feel like they have to turn off their phones. So we're looking for ways that we can improve the situation. Again, with the blue alerts, we have had a handful in 10 years. But these also are the same case for amber alerts too. So we want to be able to provide that information as quickly and efficiently as we can. And just be assured that we are looking for other ways that we can provide that information that won't have a detrimental impact on this very citizens that we're trying to alert to these. We do have these different layers of awareness to make people aware of it. Just because we feel like also in the case of an amber alert, for example, time is of the essence. So while we will not stop providing these alerts, we will certainly be reviewing the best ways to do that. We have traditionally followed the best practices of these agencies that have used these in the past, but we're always examining ways that we can improve or change or alter the way we do things, but still have the same effect that we want of being able to communicate important information to our community. That being said, if you all have any questions, if you want to direct it to a specific individual, we can do what we can do. Yes?
I have a follow-up to the blue alert. You kind of touched on this, but can you talk about the importance of making sure people don't delete these alerts from their phone, that they're actually receiving?
Right, and because they're called emergency alerts for a reason. You know, you want to be aware if there is an endangered child alert going on. If the folks in Erin 2 days ago would not have known that there was going to be this dangerous individual in their backyards. And we've seen that on the other few occasions that we've had where we have issued an alert on a blue alert where there's been a dangerous individual, and folks are grateful to have that information. I understand it doesn't necessarily affect a lot of people, but then again, when you see the one that happened earlier in the week, that individual traveled through 2 different states. So you just don't know who might actually be affected, and we don't want you to not know what's going on. The process of alerting you is one that we're certainly going to look at. Like I said, our agents have been communicating with our partner companies, our partner counterparts, to see what we can do to improve this, because we certainly don't want people to turn off their emergency alerts, and we don't want them to be annoyed at being alerted to these. We just want to be more aware of the circumstances that these are falling in. Like I said, we did not know that people were getting multiple alerts on their phones until we started hearing from folks yesterday. We are examining this as we speak. We've got folks that are on calls trying to figure it out. We hope to have some sort of a general explanation later today that we'll put on our blog to the best of our ability as to what the circumstances were that might mean that some people get some multiple calls, multiple alerts, just for the one alert that went out, why they get multiple cell phone alerts, and why some get none.
Are you able to identify the officer that was shot on Monday? Yeah.
Chief?
Yes, name is Officer Darrell Tieber,
Can you spell that?
Tiebor.
How long has he been with the department?
Approximately a year.
And did Mr. Brown have any connection to this area? Do you know if that?
We're unaware. I think that's something that's going to come up in further investigation.
And where exactly was he found? I know you mentioned Clay Tomlinson Road this morning, but we kind of went by the area, 3410, that block that we were at this
Again, I haven't been out there since we left. I'm not sure the actual numerical, but it was somewhere there in the front part of Clay Tomlinson Road.
Was it on someone's property in
It
their
was.
shed? Okay. And is there an active search for the weapon right now?
There's going to be some interviews taking place, and we'll try to gain some information about the location of the weapon.
And what are his accommodations right now? Is he being transferred? Is he locked down here? What does that look like?
He's in the Houston County Jail.
Is he on suicide watch at all?
Mr. Brown was transferred to the county jail. He is being watched. I don't want to say suicide watch, but yes, ma'am, he is being watched. We had our medical personnel look at him when he was brought into the county jail, and probably more than likely, I've had some sheriffs reach out to me, and probably going to transfer him later date.
Where will he be?
Where would he be? That I don't really know right now. Main thing is we just getting him there, and of course, catching was just the start of it. Now there's several things that we're going to have to do, and but for right now, he is housed, he is well, and our people's well, doing good. But more than likely, he will be transferred to another facility.
Did he have any injuries from being on the run a couple of days?
I didn't see any. Of course, he was in the woods most of his whole time running. When I did talk to Mr. Brown when I got there to look him over myself, make sure that everything was done. It needs to be done. If he had any scratches or anything like that, I didn't see any. I will tell you that all the officers that was involved with this, they stayed in the woods for for the whole duration of this, and we're glad to say that if there's any injuries to any of the officers, I didn't know. I mean, of course, heat played a big factor to everybody involved, and we're just mighty grateful it turned out the way it did. Nobody got seriously injured.
So he surrendered peacefully then?
Sir?
So he surrendered peacefully then?
I wasn't actually on the scene when he was apprehended, but from the reports to me, there was really no force put up. I don't know. I just think Mr. Brown probably was, for the time he spent out here running, and then the woods and bluffs and just in the general areas he was, he's probably pretty tired like the police was.
Yeah, you mentioned you had a chance to speak with him this morning. So what did he say? What did he seem like?
He appeared to be awful tired. He said he was hungry, and I don't know if he had eaten since this started. He said we put our medical people on him. He was fed, and he just really didn't say anything. You just tell he was just drained. But there, on the other hand, so was law enforcement. This took a toll on everyone. We had some hot days, and like I said, the terrain was rough for everybody. But he has been well taken care of. He is at the county facility for right now.
Would either of you like to address the support from partner agencies and neighboring law enforcement agencies?
I said in the start of this, we've been mighty blessed to have the people come to the table, to help us. We live in a good town, a good county. Everybody has crisis. but when this arose, the night that this happened, just a few calls to the sheriffs and chiefs and to our attorney general, and out to the TBI and FBI. We started getting people in immediately. The search started going on. It was a nonstop. We had to rotate people in and out. And I'd say we had over 30 different agencies here from across Tennessee and probably well over 100 personnel. And our surrounding counties have always come to our aid, and we've always come to theirs, and we always will. And I want to express our thanks to all of y'all for getting the message out for us. You've been wonderful to work with, each and every one of you, and this ended in a good resolution. And like I said, I think Chief tell you, our role was to get people where they were supposed to be. This is our area, we knew it. As far as I'm concerned, we called in the professionals to back us up. It was done, and citizens of this town, our churches, our grocery stores, our restaurants have come to the aid of over 100 different law enforcement agencies that come and helped us, and we're very proud to have the help. Chief.
I think you summed it up, man.
About what time specifically was he found this morning?
I don't have that in front of me, but I can get it for you here in just a moment.
It was after daylight. The coverage that this brought to the county, people was alerted. And that was the message we wanted to get out. We felt pretty good that once it got out, everyone was watching. And it was just a matter of time, and sure enough, that's the way it happened.
That's gonna be approximately 6:30 this morning.
And where do you think he was, I mean, do we know yet where he seemed to be heading from, or heading to?
Yeah.
Anywhere away from law enforcement.
Yeah, he was trying to stay, of course, ahead of us, but yesterday we was working the north end of the county around 13, and time of apprehension, he was within probably 2.5 miles of where we started looking yesterday. Of course, I'm just speaking. I feel like Mr. Brown probably stayed low, laid down yesterday, and then narc, he started moving, and we knew with all the people traveling from work and home and people that was retired and watching, we felt good that somebody would let us know, and that's pretty well what happened.
Anything else?
A question for each one of you. When you got that call, that message that you got, what was your reaction?
That this person, possibly a sighting on him.
Or that you actually had him in custody?
Some of y'all interviewed me this morning. For 35 years, this has been to know that he was caught. None of my citizens was hurt. None of our law enforcement personnel was hurt. There wasn't no feeling like it. I mean, it still ain't. And I can't tell y'all what it's like to have somebody like this in your town and can't find them. It was, you don't get a lot of sleep, and each officer, every officer that I knew that was out there was up and down. We was rotating people in and out. We'd send people home, our local home, to get rest. They was right back within a couple hours. It was just a nonstop situation for law enforcement, and it paid off. And I can't tell you how proud I am of each and every person that was on that scene, especially of our own. We come to the table small, and but they done the job, and they done it with support of every agency just about Tennessee that come and helped us, and I'm very, very proud of them, of each and everybody that showed up and helped.
Chief, what was your reaction?
Like I said at the beginning, I was during my interview yesterday, I got a little emotional. Same thing today. I'm emotional, but it's a different kind of emotion. Just glad, excited to finally have it come to an end. Excited to, this is the first time we've experienced this within our department. We're a 6-man department, and anytime you have one hurt, I mean, in a small agency like that, I mean, you're like family, and so it hits home. It's not just a fellow officer. I mean, it's a friend, family, brother, and you take those things personal. And to get that call, look, I've from the day that that night that this occurred, went to the ER. We gathered up his things. His things have been in a bag in the back of my car ever since. Waiting for the day that this come to an end, we was able to place this officer's cuffs on this individual. So to get that call and be able to go out there and complete that task and call it an end, I'm overjoyed.
Can we talk about the moment that he was cuffed by Officer Tieber's, or using Officer Tieber's cuffs, and just what that meant for the department and for that officer?
He wasn't aware. I spoke with him afterwards, and he was in good spirits and thankful. I think it meant more to me than any of the rest of them. It's just something that I wanted to do. His gear probably had a little bit of blood on him, but I didn't wash him off because he had blood, this officer's blood on his hands anyway. And so I felt that was appropriate to do.
I can tell you that the law enforcement officers, the deputies and the police officers involved, putting them handcuffs on him today, he was very excited to use that officer's gear. And like Chief said, we don't just work together. Everything we do is together. And it was probably to Mr. Tieber, it was probably some of the best therapy he got today. But no, he started to do his job, and at the end of the day, the job was finished with his equipment. And I know the gentleman done this, and when I talked to him this morning, he was mighty excited, and so are we.
What's next for Officer Tieber?
Just getting healed up, rehabbing, and then we'll go from there with it. I'm not sure. I haven't sat down and spoken with him over future as far as his health.
Anything else?
Thanks very much for coming out, and thank you for pushing all the alerts out as we've gotten them and the updates. That's really critical in making people aware of the circumstances going on so they can provide for their safety.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
From Houston County, we thank y'all for what you do and what you've done for us all the time, not just over this. Thank y'all very much.